Hey, guess what?
I don't know. Tell me.
For legal reasons, this call is now being recorded.
Is it?
Got him. It is.
I don't believe it.
I don't know. Alex, it's funny seeing you around these parts once again.
You know me, I'm a drifter. I just blew into town.
I found in my own travels that synchronicities rarely happen. But you know what? Sometimes it takes a man to make these synchronicities happen.
I traveled this distance because I saw that the leaves were falling. Everybody
Indeed.
knows seasons only happen in certain parts of the world at certain times of the year. It's not universal.
That is how the level was designed. Rather poorly.
If you
I
go
don't know.
further south, they're still celebrating Christmas.
I came from Christmas Town. I didn't like it. Now I'm up here searching for a place. A special place called Halloween Town.
Bum 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 ba da dum bum bum
Wait,
bum
dun,
bum bum
dun,
bum
dun,
bum
dun,
bum
dun,
bum.
dun,
Yeah, this is
surprise.
this
Time.
this isn't Halloween Town. This is Podcast Town.
Yeah, it appears we've taken a wrong turn and have ended up in Podcast Town. So why don't we record one?
I mean, there's nothing else to do here, so might as well.
There's just
Well,
microphones growing on trees.
there's just microphones growing on trees, and you know what? Oh, there's two of them right there at a desk.
That's weird.
I
That's
guess
a weird thing.
we should just go sit at the desk and just talk into the microphone. Maybe
There's
it's recording, maybe it's not. Who knows?
I guess we'll do that. I I don't know. I don't know how they must be very sensitive if they've been picking up the conversation up to this point.
Yeah, let's just adjust the sensitivity of these microphones so that we don't know how much they're picking up.
I'm adjusting it. I'm adjusting the there. I think we've got it.
Yep, it should be all good now. But we don't know if they're recording us or not. But what have you been up to lately?
Oh, I've just been checking out some of the new shows. I think this is some pretty good ones.
Oh, you've been watching the fall 2020 anime.
Actually, I was just rewatching Bakano.
That's
Bakano's
a good
pretty
show.
good. It is.
I think we've taken longer than necessary with this intro.
Yeah, with this clearly subpar bit.
Yeah. So this is the protagonist seat.
Normally they're better.
Yeah. Normally they're better.
We're tired. We're recording this later than we usually do.
Yeah. I don't know what you did to your microphone, but you sound weird now.
Now?
Yeah, it sounds weird. It's like you did something. Something's off about it.
I don't know. Like weird how.
I don't know. It sounds like, you made your microphone like one quality level worse.
That's weird. I should check my drivers.
Do I sound the same? All I did was slap mine.
You do sound the same.
All right, I guess we'll just roll with it.
We'll roll with this and then I'll update my drivers later. Fuck it.
Um so yeah, this is the protagonist seat where we talk about all of the anime, not actually all of it. 5 shows from the fall 2020 season.
Yes, we pick 5 on top of one of the shows that we have taken from last season.
And we also have Fire Force because that kind of gets grandfathered in because we were still talking about that one and it's not over.
Yes, that is the show that we picked from last time.
Yes. Anyway,
yes.
Let's see some fucking motivation.
Let's see some motivation.
So let's start off with a real banger of first episode. Akudama Drive.
Yeah, this show is fucking lit. It's amazing.
A lot of shit happened, but honestly, it felt like it flowed really well.
It's like...
I also like how the opening basically feels like Blade Runner. You got the orange tinted sort of futuristic city.
I'd say the setting for the show in general just feels a lot like Blade Runner. It was giving me some heavy Blade Runner vibes.
I mean, it's cyberpunk. You got the police robots and stuff.
It was good shit.
The hacking dude with his drones. Although it doesn't seem like people have sort of a lot of cybernetics or anything like that.
No, but you've got robots and you've got like crazy traffic force fields.
Yeah. So it starts out with this girl who just is a regular person, you know, going around working her day job, and then she heads home to stop by the market first to buy something to make for dinner.
And then she sees a cat.
Yep, she saves a cat from getting hit by a car and heads off again and sees a takoyaki place.
And at the takoyaki place is a mysterious stranger and a crazy ass purple motorbike. Or is it blue? I forget what color it is.
It's purple.
I thought it was purple.
It's like, it's more black, but it glows purple.
It looks like a light cycle from Tron, kinda.
Yeah, and so he's ordering his takoyaki, and he drops a 500 yen coin, and she goes to give it back to him, and he's like, nah, dropped money is bad luck.
And she's like, I don't accept that answer one bit, because
she's drives away.
Crazy.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, because at this point, so she goes to get her takoyaki, and they're like, cash only. And
it's 500 yen, cash only.
And she has a 500 yen coin, but she can't give the lady that one because it's not hers.
Almost as if that dude dropped it on fucking purpose.
Yeah.
That's my theory. He dropped that coin on purpose.
Maybe he's just weird.
I don't know.
Because he seems kind of like confused by all the stuff happening too.
I think he's chill. He's a courier.
Yeah. So so she ends up getting arrested because she won't pay them.
And she won't use her 500 yen coin, and they're like, "You're a shyster. You're a scammer trying to scam that old lady."
It is literally $5.
Yeah. Over $5.
I didn't even know you could arrest someone over something that small.
Not in real town, but in super cyberpunk future, who knows?
Yeah, so she gets arrested, and then we see a whole plethora of characters we're introduced to and their titles. Like the guy on the motorcycle, he is courier, and his thing is to deliver things.
He's super good at it.
And we see another guy. What is it? Boxer?
Brawler.
Brawler.
Because it's all their crimes.
Yeah, and he is just out there smashing police robots, just beating the crap out of them.
Just for fun, because this dude is absolutely batshit insane.
Then we get the stereotypical hacker dude, where he's the scrawny dude sitting behind a computer like, I think I'll just hack into the national bank. All right, that was fun. Now I'm bored.
Easy. and one at a time, each one is given like a new assignment that's like, hey, break out, cutthroat.
Yeah, apparently he's this major criminal that's about to get publicly executed, but they're all paid like 100 million yen or something to bust him out. And they're like, okay, whatever, sure, cool.
And the last one is Doctor, who is uh
Insane.
eccentric to say the least.
Yeah, some guy starts having a heart attack on the train, and she's like, he needs open heart surgery. And then she
Which,
just, starts performing it right there, and then kills everybody else in the room.
because they're freaking out because they are witnessing this provocatively dressed woman performing open heart fucking surgery on a train.
And I guess that guy is saved, but everyone else is dead.
Yeah, all of these people are absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
And it's great. I love it. I love it so much.
And while the main character girl, is at the police station, they're asking her why she didn't give them the coin, even though she had like the money on her. And she was saying that it's not hers. And they're like, you kind of sound like a swindler.
So you're going to be Swindler. And you know what? There's a trend in this show that I think it's going to be the naming convention is it's going to be like almost like Zombieland, where everyone decides to go by their whatever place they're going to, except in this, we'll just call you whatever your crime is. Hey,
Yeah.
courier. What's
Also,
up, brawler?
so while she is at the police station, of course, that's where the execution is going to happen. So all of the crazy characters we've seen show up and just start attacking the place all at once.
The
Like the
courier,
brawler
by the
guy,
way, does literally
yeah,
everything on his motorcycle, and
he has a Batman-esque motorcycle where it has all the gadgets and powers.
it has 3D maneuver gear on it. This dude could slay titans in his fucking motorcycle.
Yeah, and the brawler dude starts doing a head-on assault because of course he does. He's the brawler, and all of the other ones are like, "Hey, that's perfect. I'll just use him as a distraction and sneak in."
It does not go to plan.
Yeah, well, first they get in there, and then the brawler guy starts fighting the courier, and of course he's fighting him with his bike, like he's hitting him in the face with the wheel.
Yeah, because Courier does everything with his bike, even
And
though he also has a gun.
yeah, and then the doctor shows up and she gasses the place, but apparently that's not enough to take down Brawler, even though apparently it is enough to tranquilize an elephant.
That's because Brawler follows Benimaru rules,
Yeah,
where fuck it, poison doesn't affect him. He doesn't
and
give a shit about your poison.
Hacker's just waiting, I guess, in the tech room, just like, I'll just chill out here. This is gonna be my safe spot. And then Brawler picks up Doctor, chucks her into the ceiling, and it breaks a hole in the floor, and he falls through.
So now everybody's in the same room aiming guns
Also,
at each other.
that was a high ass ceiling. There's no way both of those characters are okay.
I I Doctor should have been dead from that throw period.
Yeah. Just the impact.
That alone had me like, all right, so these guys are this is how this is gonna be. Being a criminal makes you super tough.
Yeah. But then the cat runs out into the group of them. And
Oh,
of course,
actually, I just remembered because she falls to the ground and she gets back up in like 3 minutes. And Brawler's like, that should have killed you. What are you doing? And she's like, oh, I can stitch up my own injuries. So that's it. She just used doctoring on herself.
I don't know, like, I get you
You
can stitch up injuries, but I don't know if you can stitch up those internal ones,
no, you stitch
like
them.
shattered bones.
You just stitch up the bones. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
I don't think that's how bones work, but okay.
No, you just stitch them. You
You
get
hot
some good
glue them.
thread. You get your Elmer's brand glue and you stick that shit together because that's non-toxic. So that's the stuff you really want to use.
But yeah, so then they all pull their weapons on each other, and it's a big Mexican standoff. But of course, Swindler Girl steps out and breaks it up because she's picking up the cat. And they're all like, huh? Who are you? And they're like, she's just a normal person. Let's just kill her because we're all psychopaths.
Yeah, we are all absolutely fucking insane, so we'll
Yeah,
just kill her.
there
Whatever,
is
who
literally
cares?
no reason they could just ignore her.
I think the shortest prison sentence between all of them is like 350 years.
Yeah. Also, why? Like, there's certain people I get in that group that are fine with just killing her, like Doctor Lady, maybe Brawler. What is the hacker? His crime is hacking.
I don't
I'm just gonna
know.
shoot some civilian.
No, because he's got the plasma
Yeah, I'm gonna
drones.
plasma shoot some civilian.
I'm gonna vaporize this civilian.
But then, kind of interesting because her thing is swindler. She's like, oh, I'm an akudama too. I'm swindler, but I was just so good at swindling that I didn't end up on the list, and they all buy it.
Charisma check, natural 20. Everyone fucking buys it. Everyone's
Yep.
like, oh shit.
Yeah, she hard charisma passes.
And then a tank shows up.
And then it's a big boom, explosions everywhere. They get knocked down into the prison cell block. And then we meet another dude with missile hair, who I guess is the other member of the group.
Yeah.
And he has a 4-year sentence. He is apparently a
Thug.
rank D Akudama.
I think his designation is literally just like thug or
No,
something
it
like
wasn't
that.
even thug. It was like I don't remember, but it wasn't anything impressive.
No, it was something super minor.
Yeah.
And
Um,
he like they break his cell by accident and he's like, "Guys, I don't know what's going on, but I want in on it."
yeah, he basically says, "Yo, I heard someone mention 100 million yen. I'm getting in on this."
Because
And he
fuck
just
it, why
follows
not?
them. And then apparently the police are gonna put on. Apparently the police have a studio audience for a public execution.
Yeah, it basically takes place in a sports arena beneath the police station.
And they're using, with all this technology and all this fanfare and stuff, they're using something as simple as the guillotine.
Yeah. Yeah,
Just a
whatever.
regular wooden guillotine with the rope.
It doesn't even look well maintained.
Yeah. And then everyone busts in, and they all have a big fight with the robot in there. And
Yeah, because
Courier
it's not,
knocks down the big ass jumbotron.
but it's fine. Don't worry about it.
My thing with, dude, that guillotine looked so old and rickety that just the force of the jumbotron hitting the ground, I'm pretty sure would cause enough for the blade to just dislodge.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. If
But
not causing like the whole thing to just fall apart.
and the dude, oh, Courier gets stuck under some rubble, and it looks like he's going to get killed by the robot. And then Swindler's there and goes, I have to give him back his coin.
Because she sees the coin. And when
Yeah.
she's looking at the coin, I had a distinct moment of like, this bitch is going to destroy a fucking tank with a 500 yen coin, and I'm all for it. But she doesn't.
I'm actually glad that she didn't, because I'm like, there's no
Mhm.
way. I thought she was going to throw it or something, and it was going to hit the perfect spot.
Me too.
But I didn't want that to happen because there's no way she should have that skill set.
Yes, I am glad that
But
that is
instead,
not
she's
what
just
happened.
like, "Hey," and she points to the missile head guy, and it's like, "There's a criminal over here."
And it works. It distracts the robot from
And
the
it,
other criminal that it's fighting.
yep, and then it's enough for him to get dislodged, and then he's like, "I won't thank you."
Yeah,
But then they all work together. They take down the robot, and then the police commissioner is like, "Well, I'm gonna arrest all of you," and then his head just lops off.
because Cutthroat is so good at cutting throats that he decapitates people.
Yeah, he basically, his power is nothing personnel, kid.
I think he's killed like 1,000 people.
Yeah, it had 999, and then after that guy, it became 1,000.
Yeah,
And Courier delivers to him the because he wasn't there to free him. He was just there to deliver something to him, and it's a briefcase. And then after he opens the briefcase, everybody gets collars put on them.
Collars.
And then the cat starts talking.
Yes. And just to illustrate that they're everyone's like, what the fuck is this collar? And there's a cop nearby, and he's like, why do I have a collar on? And then his head blows up.
Yeah, he tries to take it off.
Because
yeah.
they need to have that.
So it's probably going to turn into a big death game thing. And I think this was made by the Danganronpa creator.
That's great. I'm psyched as fuck. I like this show a lot.
Yeah. Honestly, everyone's pretty cool so far.
Everyone's cool. Everyone's stoked as shit. It's a trope where no one uses their actual names that I'm real down for.
I also really like that she literally is the swindler. She swindles her way into not getting killed.
Yes. But
and
can she swindle her way out of this situation?
I found out after that it was the Danganronpa creator, and I'm like, man, this girl has like super high school level luck. And then I'm like, no way. That
explains it.
That's why.
Luckiest high school girl swindler.
Although she seems like a full adult.
Probably.
Everyone's an adult in this show, which is a nice change of pace every now and then, because, you know,
yeah, I suppose. I suppose we should probably watch like at least a couple shows with adults in them, I guess.
Surprisingly, this season we have 3. Half the list.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, awesome show. Super pumped.
I
want to find out if it's going to be a death game or they're all going to have to work together or something. I hope they have to work together because I like kind of seeing them work as a group.
I think they're going to have to work together. That feels like where it's going to me.
Yeah. Because they were already down with fighting each other, so yeah.
We've seen that. Let's move on. Let's move into something a little more cooperative.
Yeah, they're I really like the main girl too. I think she's interesting.
Yeah, they did a good job making a main protagonist that's not just like, I'm just a normal person. Ho ho ho! I'm just just a regular everyday person.
Also, I'm pretty sure the doctor is also the voice of Naegi and Komata from Danganronpa.
Okay.
The main character and then like main antagonist of the second one. I don't know.
It's been a long time since the Danganronpa series has entered these eyes.
Dang it, Ron Paul.
Dang it, Ron Paul. He's making us move on to the next show. What do we got?
The Wandering Witch: Journey of Elena.
Hey. This show's pretty cool.
Also, what's one about an adult? Because at the end of the first episode, she's 18.
Yeah. I was pretty okay with that.
So this is, I've actually read the first volume of the light novel series for this, just the first volume. So I've seen these parts.
I have not done any research into this at all prior.
I read it because it's an easy read. It's one of those ones where everything's kind of broken up into short stories within one book. So it's like an easy, you could just dive in, read a single story within the book in like 20 minutes, if that.
Nice.
Also, they do it a little differently because episode 2 is actually the start of the book, and the episode 1 is kind of in the middle of it.
Okay, so episode 1 is more like a flashback in the book.
But I think it works better this way in terms of just structure. Yeah. It's a better introduction.
Yeah, because you actually you learn about this character in a linear fashion.
But yeah, so the show stars Elena, and in the first episode, she grows up reading stories about witches and really wants to be a witch.
So that's what she does. She
Yep.
decides she's going to study everything forever and be the best
Yeah.
one.
She studies super hard, and she is the youngest to ace the um, apprentice exam.
And unfortunately, that means that no one is going to take her on as an apprentice because no one wants that kind of burden.
Yeah, no one wants to take on her as an apprentice because I'm pretty sure a lot of them think like, oh, she passed it at such a young age. She probably has got a huge ego, thinks she's hot shit.
She just wants to be a witch go on adventures, man. She's
Yep.
got that silver hair.
But she goes and visits every single witch in her country, and all of them turn her down.
She loses hope, but then she hears some gossip. She hears some hot goss from the parents.
Yep, apparently, right outside of their town, there is a witch staying in the forest.
The Stardust Witch,
Yeah, Fran.
Fran.
Fran Sensei.
And no, before anyone says it, she does not manufacture drugs. Probably. I don't know what she. We don't see a whole lot of it, so she might.
Yeah, so Elena goes to visit her and is like, hey, she sees she's kind of weird. She's chasing butterflies when she first shows up. And she's like, oh, did you need something? She's like, well, I was going to come and ask you to be your apprentice, but you're just going to say no, so.
And then Fran's like, "Yeah, I'll do it. All right, sure, kid."
And
Oh,
Elena is super excited because someone finally agreed to be her apprentice or be her master. And the first day, she's like, all right, so you're going to teach me some magic? And she's like, I'm kind of hungry. Just make dinner first. Or make some breakfast first. And then after, see if you can, like, clean the living room.
and then the trend continues
And it's just a bunch of menial tasks.
for a month,
It's like
a
the
whole
Karate
month.
Kid scene where he's having him like wash his car instead of teaching him karate. Except unlike Karate Kid, it doesn't actually cause her to learn anything.
Yeah, she doesn't have to boil the newt to do any weird magic or any shit like that.
And
Kill the
she starts,
spider,
yeah,
Elena.
and she starts to realize that she really isn't learning anything, and she's putting up with a lot of bullshit. And she basically complains to her about it. And she's like, all right, how about we have a duel?
Don't worry. Nothing goes wrong at all. It's perfectly wholesome.
Also,
Except it's not.
the duel was a neat scene because it was only so far I'm liking the adaptation better because in the novel it was like maybe 2 paragraphs.
Damn.
Well, just because it's like they
How do you
shot lasers
translate
at
that?
each yeah, they
Yeah.
shot lasers at each other back and forth. It's not something you could really like make that interesting for very long when in just text,
But
but it looks really cool.
yeah, it is an actual magic battle. It's not like one of those lame ass Harry Potter battles. Fuck Harry Potter.
Expelliarmus.
Fuck Harry Potter and fucking magic lasers. I hate it so much.
Harry Potter has a bad magic system for being a very famous series about wizards.
Yeah, who'd have thought that the
There is three
entire
there is three combat
crux,
spells.
not even.
There's the insta death one, the disarm one, and then there's like another one that I think sends you flying or something.
Yeah, it's bad, but
And
it's
they're
much
making an
better.
RPG based on it. I'm like,
They
man, that
are.
combat system's probably gonna be awesome. Expelliarmus! Expelliarmus!
Oh boy.
And
But in
none of
this,
the
it's
good
much
guys use
better.
the instant dead one.
Yeah, because that's what the good guy. That'd be like a Jedi using Force choke.
Even though, like, I could see using like the kill one on monsters or something.
Yeah, but it's that's the dichotomy of storytelling.
And at
Like
the
you
same point,
can't.
why do you teach it to kids then?
They don't.
They taught it to them in class, though.
No, they taught them about the fact that the spell exists, but they didn't actually teach it to them.
Well, they did it in front of them.
Yeah. They were like, "This is the bad one. Don't do this one." I don't
And
know.
everyone's like, I'm gonna go do it after school.
It's Harry Potter. It's not good. Let's talk about cool mage battles where they actually like shoot rocks and use their environment and shoot magic missile,
Yeah.
and it's
So
cool. And they
Fran
use shield.
absolutely destroys Elena.
It is totally one-sided, and she goes real hard.
And then Fran expects her to like, well, she goes over and kind of taunts her a bit, being like, "Yeah, you passed the exam with flying colors, but you still have a lot, like, you still have a lot to learn."
You're
And
nothing special.
yeah, she basically says how she isn't special and all that, and then Elena starts crying.
Elena
And,
breaks down into tears, and then Fran feels bad.
and she kind of like gets flustered. She's like, I'm sorry, I didn't actually expect you to cry." Because
And
she,
then the real magic
yeah,
begins. The
because
magic of friendship.
she starts trying to like make her feel better. She's like, "Oh, what about those butterflies you like?" And she's like, "I don't like the butterflies you do."
I did like that.
And
That
she,
did amuse
yeah,
me.
the last thing she does is give her a hug, and she kind of explains that she's sorry that her parents kind of had her do it because her parents didn't want her to get sort of an ego or anything.
So her parents basically paid off a witch to train her about failure.
Yeah, and she was even saying, she's like, "Hey, you shouldn't have to put up with people's bullshit. Like even mine. I was waiting for you to finally get to the point where you were fed up with it, but you never did."
And that's a lesson you don't see a lot in stuff, where it's like, hey, it's okay to tell people to fuck off sometimes.
Honestly, it's really good just because of the whole thing about this series is a lot of times her just meeting people and not wanting to deal with their bullshit.
Yeah.
So she just doesn't.
And
And this is where it all stems from.
that's called following a theme.
Yeah. So she doesn't put up with people's bullshit. And so Fran actually starts to train her in real magic, and we see her slowly improving, and then they finally have another duel where Elena actually wins.
Yay.
And she bestows upon her her brooch, which is the symbol of being a real witch, and she gets the title of the Ashen Witch because of her white hair.
Ashen one.
Dost thou heareth my voice still?
Seek lest.
Ash seeketh embers.
Yeah. She gets the title of Ashen Witch, and she's like, wow, why? And Fran's just like, 'cause it sounds cool.
She's like, "Why do you have Stardust Witch?" Because it sounds cool.
'Cause it sounds cool.
And basically, we find out witches are chunies.
Yes.
So, yep, she's like, "I guess I'm fine with it." So she's the Ashen Witch. And she goes back home to see her mom and her dad and basically see them off. And her mom gives her 3 rules. If she's ever in trouble, run away. Um, there's a second one. I forget it. And then the third one was come back someday.
Shit, I forget the second rule too.
It was just kind of like vague parent stuff.
It's probably going to be important at some point, but we'll get to that later maybe. But I like her parents cuz her mom's real smart and supportive,
Oh, the
and
second
her
one I think was like never think you're above anybody else or something.
realize that you're just the same as everyone else,
Yeah. No matter where you go, you're not more special than anybody.
which is a weird lesson for an anime to try and teach people. Hey you're not fucking special. Stop that.
But yeah,
But I
she
like
gives her all
I
that,
like
and then her dad's all sad because all he does is basically eat and cry.
yeah, he is eating in literally every scene. There he I went back and checked. Every scene he is in, he is eating something.
Mhm.
It amuses me.
And then at the end, he cries and she flies away, and then she goes off on her journey. And then episode 2 happens.
Episode 2 takes place in the Magic Place, in
Yep.
Magic Town.
So this series is a lot like Kino's Journey, where they go to different countries, but the countries are essentially just city-states.
City of Hats.
Yep. Basically, it is a city of hats.
This is
Every
the
single
Magic
place she goes
Place.
is a country of hats. So she goes to one that is all witches and all magic users.
Yep.
You can only get there if you can fly on a broom.
And she's like, "Hey dudes, what's up?" And the
I'm
guards are like,
unaware
"Hey
in the
dude."
system if men can be witches, because I know there's one book where she goes to another town that has a lot of magic using people there, and there are a couple of like male like kids on broomsticks.
I don't know. All I know is that in episode 2, I haven't seen any yet.
Yeah. So they go to the town, she flies in, and everyone's treating her like, oh, please, right this way, Madam Witch. And she's like, this place is pretty cool. Everyone's flying around on brooms. You pretty much don't even enter stores through the ground floor. There's secondary entrances that you can just fly up to on like the
There
roof.
are there are landing strips on buildings for witches.
Yeah. And then she's flying, and some girl crashes into her.
And they break a whole bunch of roof tiles as well as that girl's head.
Yeah. Which
And
also,
then
and like coming back later where we find out like a lot of this was like premeditated. It's like you guys could have died.
yeah, she could have killed either Elena or herself. But you know what? When you're lonely, nothing else matters. But
Yeah.
we'll get to that. We will get there.
Oh, we'll get there. Oh, it's coming, and it's gonna be huge.
But they crash, and then Elena fixes everything because she's very good at magic. And then they part ways.
Yeah, Elena's kind of a prodigy. That's kind of a running thing.
Yeah. But they part ways, and people don't treat Elena as good anymore for some reason.
Yeah, she's like, I think I'll stay in the nicest hotel. And then they're like, sorry, we can't have your kind stay here.
Maybe you should find a hotel better suited for people such as yourself. All right, that's weird.
Yeah, so
And then
she
that
tries
happens
the
a lot.
second best hotel, and it just keeps happening.
And much like in fairy tales, we go rule of threes. And then she meets
That's her
a
name, Saya. I pulled out the physical version of the light novel I had because I needed to check her name. It is Saya.
cool.
So she goes to the don't you cool me. She goes to the
I'll
shittiest
cool
hotel,
whatever I want, motherfucker.
and it's full of spider webs and creaky boards.
It
And
sucks.
yeah, and the receptionist is the girl that crashed into her.
Huh. What a strange synchronicity.
And she's like, "Oh, hey, since you helped heal my head, you can actually, if you want, stay here at a reduced rate." And she's
I'll
like,
make
"I
it
guess it'll have to do."
super cheap. It'll be great. Don't worry about it.
And she decides to stay there. She's like, "Yeah, I gotta look for my brooch anyway." And she's like, "Hey, I'll help you look." And they go look for it, and they can't find it. But since they've bonded a bit, she's like, Saya goes and requests, "Hey, since I'm trying to be a witch and you are stuck here for a little bit, can you train me?"
And Elena's like, yeah, sure, whatever.
And we also find out that Saya has a sister who she came here with, and the two of them were going to take the magic exam to become apprentices together. But the sister passed and left, and Saya's stuck here by herself.
Also, Saya
Yep.
is from Japan.
She's from some Eastern-esque area.
It's Japan. It's fantasy Elena Japan.
I don't know. There's probably several fantasy Japans, though. Actually, there is, because there's one part where they go to a town, or there's one country in here that I don't know if it'll make it in there, because there's probably a lot of stuff they're going to cut, because they'll probably do several episodes in this show where they probably put like two different stories together, just like the A plot and the B plot, because some of them are so small. Where there's one where it's like,
Streamline it.
Yeah, one half the town is Western, and then half the town is Eastern.
Huh.
It's just weird shit like that.
That's you know what? Cool stuff can happen in that setting. But they look and uh Elena teaches Saya how to fly on a broomstick,
And
and
she learns
Saya,
real quick.
yeah, is almost prodigal, which is weird considering the fact that she can't seem to pass the apprentice exam.
Yeah, she's good at
Oh,
flying, but the other stuff she's kind of rough at is the actual spell casting.
because we learn about the apprentice exam.
Yeah, it's
Which,
basically a battle royale.
yeah, you have to fly around on broomsticks with like 100 other people, and be the last person on your broomstick.
Yeah, so you have to shoot spells at each other and knock each other off.
Which seems a little dangerous,
Although
not gonna lie.
I guess if you have instructors watching, they're probably all good enough at magic that they could just be like, nope, slow fall.
I would hope so. You never want to be the one person to die at the apprentice exam because you fell on your head wrong.
Well, then you get to be the nice statistic where it's like, I don't know, that those exams are pretty dangerous. I heard one kid died last year.
I also firmly believe that there is no right way to fall on your head. Just don't
Uh,
fall on your head.
yeah, there really isn't.
Just don't. The best way to fall on your head is to not fall on your head at all. Just don't start.
But yeah, so they do their training and stuff, and Elena continues to look for her brooch because she's kind of shit out of luck without it.
Yeah, it's real important.
And then a lady in a nearby window who saw them fall, who showed her earlier in the episode watching them, so this is like a callback to that. But she's like, "Hey,
Yeah.
I think I saw what happened over there, but gee, my memory's real foggy."
Why don't you bribe me?
And then Elena does, and she's like, "Oh, I saw what happened." And then she whispers it to her, and then she goes back to the hotel, and she's like, "Huh." And you can pretty much tell, oh, Saya took it.
Yeah.
And then she even comes in, she's like, "Hey, can I sleep with you tonight?"
That's totally not a weird request. Sure.
And Elena's basically like, "All right, how long are we gonna keep doing this? How long are we gonna pretend I'm your sister?"
Stop projecting, Saya. It's not healthy. It's
Yeah.
not okay. Don't project, kids.
And
And
yeah,
there's
they
an
have
emotional scene.
yeah, she's sad because she was been alone for so long, and Elena basically tells her part of really being successful is being alone, or more essentially like to work on something is you got to be alone for it or to get good at it.
But you can be by yourself, but not be alone. And she gives Saya her spare hat
Yep.
because her
And
mom gave her a spare witch's hat in the first episode.
it's like, hey, even though you're be by yourself, you won't be alone because I'll be there with you. And
In the
she
form
cries.
of
They're all
this
happy,
delightful hat.
and she gives Elena back her brooch, and it cuts to a couple of weeks or a couple of months later, and Elena's in a different country reading a newspaper, and it publishes all the people that passed the magic exam, and she sees Saya has passed.
This is going to be a weird pull, but this scene reminded me of the end
I know,
of
a Batman, right?
of the Dark Knight 3
I
when
already read it,
fucking
so I knew it wasn't going to happen. But the way they even set it up, I'm like, like it looks like they're doing the Batman thing, where she's going to look down up from the newspaper and see her at the other table with somebody
yeah,
looking back
like
at her.
I just the pan down in this town that looks like an Italian town. I was like,
Yeah,
this reminds me of fucking Batman. The only scene in The Dark Knight 3 that I actually remember.
yeah.
Like
No, I felt it too while I was watching. I'm like, this is the Batman scene, but I already know she's not going to show up there.
I didn't think she would, but I had doubts. It was weird. It felt weird.
I'm honestly curious to see with this show what they take and what they like skip over, because there are some in the book that I remember from reading where I'm like, you probably won't need this.
It's weird because it doesn't really seem like this show is going to have an overarching plot line, and it could just not be introduced yet. But
It really it doesn't. As far as I know with the series, it's just traveling around City of Hats. There's recurring characters that pop up every now and then, but it's never really played for anything more than just
hey, it's
like,
that guy.
yeah, hey, it's comedic relief dude.
I'm down with that. I
Yeah.
don't. I think there's not enough of that.
It's just,
Just
hey, chill out. What are they doing this week? If you liked Kino's Journey, you'll like this. It's Kino's Journey, but with magic.
yeah.
And Elena's a bit more expressive than Kino.
I like Elena. I like Elena a lot as a protagonist. She's nice. She has cool shoes, and I like her character design.
Now, it'll be fun when she gets to places where she basically just straight up scams people who are assholes to her.
I got something to look forward to. That's nice. What's next?
Assault Lily Bouquet.
Guys, we get a magical girl show.
Riri.
Re.
Yeah, it's like it's magical girl, but also kind of gear. They
Yeah.
got magic weapons.
That they have to form a magic pact with.
Yeah, they're Maggie.
Maggie.
I think that's what they call it. They call it Maggie. You gotta let your Maggie flow.
Yeah, and I hate it. I hate that, and I don't know if it's because part of my brain. I just finished watching Neon Genesis Evangelion, and the fucking computer system is named Muggy, and I don't like that series of sounds
Yeah,
in
guys, it's
Japanese.
2020. Ian just finished watching Evangelion.
It took me like a year and a half. I'm not gonna front. Like I stopped halfway through for like 6 months.
I've watched Evangelion fucking in years ago in high school, so I barely remember it. I never watched the end of Evangelion, the movies, and I was good. I don't need to.
Yeah.
It's
Let's
just
not talk about that.
it's the boomer anime.
Let's talk about something better than Evangelion.
Yeah, but well, I don't know about that at this point. We're still only 2 episodes in, but um, so our main character Riri, who the reason I'll remember her name is because she makes a point of being like, it sounds a lot like Lily. I
Yeah,
guess if you have a thick Japanese accent, it would.
cuz
Assault Riri.
yeah, you can kind of hear it cuz like that's how they would pronounce Lily cuz they don't have the L
Yeah, there's
sounds.
no L, so it's just kind of it becomes an R. So Riri.
Yeah, it's very confusing. And then characters bring up the fact that it's confusing and then laugh about it and move on.
Yep. So I'm going to call most of the girls at this point by either their hair color or weapon or some superficial defining feature
You
because
don't
there's a
want
lot
to
of them.
you don't want to delve into all of the deep characteristics that we've gotten in
There's a
from
fuck ton of
everyone
them.
so far.
I the only ones we really got character for are the cold senpai girl and the Ojo-sama.
Yes.
So they go to this school because they got to fight the huge. They got to fight the
the
huge, and there's a huge nest. There's a
I
huge nest.
I did laugh at that when I watched it. That's a huge nest, guys. Guys, come on. What are you
Also,
doing?
they had to do something about the huge specimen that escaped in the first episode. That just huge specimen.
They fucking did that on purpose. I guarantee it. Someone pulled that shit just out of a hat and was like, "Hey, this would be funny." And then they just went with it.
Essentially, the huge are the noise of this show, just the monster things that everybody has to fight.
Big,
The noise, yeah.
semi-nondescript monsters.
Yeah, that's why I call them the noise, because that was the thing in Symphogear. It's like, oh no, noise are attacking, and they're just like monster things that are just weird looking, different color palettes, ass looking, stupid things.
Yeah. Something
They don't.
tells me that the monster design is not the main point of the show. I don't know
No.
what it is, but
But yeah, so they go to this special school where they're trained to fight the thing. That I'm gonna level with you. This show is just the tropes so far.
it
I have
is. It
seen
is.
this before in everything else pretty much. So it's the same story beats if you know any sort of like series like this. I'm getting a lot of Symphogear vibes, but yeah. So they go to this school, they train to fight the things with their special weapons
You
and
mean the
charms.
huge,
Yeah, they fight the huge with their charms.
which is an acronym, by the way.
Yeah. And every single charm is just a different type of special weapon. We find out that they have runes in them to basically make the magic. So you can have pretty much anything. You can have a gun, you can have a sword, you can have whatever you need because, of course, it's rule of cool.
Because it's magic.
Yeah. So
One of the things I don't understand is like you've got these girls called lilies, you've got monsters called huge. Why the fuck does charm have to be an acronym? Because all that
yeah,
does is makes me wonder what the acronym is.
I think they said it at some point. I just was like
I kind of
not
zoned
paying
out.
attention. I'm
Kind
not
of,
gonna lie,
I'll
I
admit,
zoned out a lot too. It was fun to watch, but it wasn't like a brain power show.
no, this is not. We've
Symphogear
got a
was brain
brain.
power though.
We've got
Symphogear
a
was a
brain
big
power
think.
show. This is not one of them.
It made me want to watch Symphogear again, actually. Mostly
Well,
because they
that's a
also
positive.
sang while fighting. So, but yeah, so in this, they get to school, and the first person that Riri meets is, of course, the rich Ojo-sama archetype, the rich girl who pulls up in her limo. And of course, the first thing she does is mistake her for like a valet or something, or an assistant, even though they're wearing the same uniform.
Hey, you're dressed almost exactly like me. You must be the help.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder what she's there for.
And then they go to the school together, and two of the senpai look like they're starting a fight with each other.
And they almost do.
And
But
then, yeah, it turns out
Ojo-sama wants in.
the Ojo-sama is actually a big simp for the Kudere senpai, and she's like, "No, I'll fight in your place." And then she's about to grab her weapon, but then Riri. Apparently, they make it a thing that Riri's really good at just kind of like, I don't know, acting really quick, stopping people from fighting. It's like, oh, she
She's
deflected me.
she's got those
She's
real
fast.
good reflexes.
Wow, she's fast.
Wow, she's fast.
Yeah,
She
so
took down a Russian hind?
and before a fight actually starts, a instructor shows up, or like an upperclassman, and it's like, hey, one of the huge is on the loose, so we got to break up into teams and go find it.
Everyone with no combat experience, get your asses into the gym.
And they have Kudere senpai, Ojo-sama, and Riri go as a group together.
Because Riri is like, I have no combat experience, but I will still go anyway.
And they end up going, and we find out that the senpai actually saved Riri from a huge attack, and that is the reason that Riri wanted to become a lily. And
Yay.
they get attacked while they're out, and it turns out Riri hasn't even made a contract with her weapon.
So she can't use it.
Yeah, and then they get attacked again, but Kudere senpai helps her activate her weapon, and it becomes a trend that she can really only get her weapon up if another girl helps her.
You know, I have a similar problem. Not really. but I wanted to make that joke real bad.
That's fine.
I think it was worth it.
I wanted to set it up for you.
Set him up and knock him down.
But yeah, I really like the Ojo-sama's weapon. It's a bow and also a rapier.
Yeah, because she's the rich girl.
Yeah,
She's
and
got to
apparently
have
her
the.
dad's company makes the weapons.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and so they end up fighting, and after she gets helped by the Kudere senpai, she charges in and gets kind of captured by the thing's tentacles. But it's surprisingly not lewd; it's just practical.
Yeah, it
And
is.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just used as restraints. And the other two are like, hey, now that your weapon's working, you can at least swing it, right? And they both charge together and they slash the tentacles, and then the Kudere senpai is able to finish off the huge.
And it's kind of neat.
Yeah. But then a bunch of rocks start falling, and she pushes the Ojo-sama away, and then Kudere senpai and Riri both get covered in slime. So they have to be quarantined for a bit.
Yeah, because apparently if you get covered in if you get all that huge goo on you
Yeah, they got huge goo all over them.
all over them, and then they had to be put in quarantine in a sterile room.
And while they're in the room, she tells her the whole thing of like, hey, the reason I wanted to become a lily is because I saw you fight and was inspired by you. But you kind of seem different than how you were back then. And we see in the flashback she's a lot more friendly and smiling. And you can clearly tell, especially with the end of the episode where you see the other girl that was in the flashback talking to her. She's
Yeah,
got the
because
my dead teammate thing going on.
yeah,
She's like, my dead
because
partner. I can't partner with anyone else because my partner died.
Riri is like, "Hey, where's that other girl?" And she doesn't answer. And then later she talks to the other girl, and I'm like, "Oh, she's fucking dead." I
Yeah.
would almost guarantee she
She's also,
probably
the
even
dead girl
died
is
in.
also voiced by Saber.
Yeah, that's rare.
Yeah,
Normally
she
she
doesn't
just.
do a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
She's got Saber.
she has probably the safest VA gig in all of anime.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you're set forever because they keep
Do you
making more of
just
this character.
do you just want to be all of this one character? There's
There's a
infinity of them.
there's a new Fate anime every year.
Do you want to be Saber in that? Yeah, all right.
And I'm like, oh, Heaven's Feel's done, but she's still not done because they're making the Camelot movies.
Yup. Yup.
What a sweet gig.
That'd
Imagine
be
being like, hey,
cool.
you don't have to audition anymore for things. You just have a role that is always doing something.
If you want to, you could do some other stuff, but you don't need to.
And it's always something minor if she does something else because she hasn't really done a leading female role in a while. It's like, I'll just be a side character. I'll pop up.
Yeah, because like she doesn't need it. She is the Fate main character. She's
Mm.
Saber.
But yeah, so she's dead though.
Yeah, she's totally fucking dead.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if she died that same day that they rescued Riri.
I wouldn't also be
Because
surprised if the new weapon that the Kudere girl uses is the dead one's weapon.
oh yeah.
Because we
Now,
gotta fill out all the trope, all the my dead partner tropes.
guys, what other dead partner tropes can you think of? Let's just write out the plot of this.
It's
Let's
too
just
bad that
write the
she's
whole thing.
it's too bad that she's a high school girl because otherwise she'd be a hard drinker.
Yeah,
I
you
drink
never
because this
know.
was my partner's favorite liquor.
A lot of people drink in high school.
Yeah, this is Japanese all girls high school.
That's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, so um that's basically the first episode. Also at the end of the episode, the girl the Ojo-sama decides that she's like, "No, I can't simp for the Kudere senpai anymore. I'm going to simp for you." And she
Main girl.
apologizes to the Kudere senpai and says to and basically decides she is going to simp for Riri the rest of the show.
And she does.
Yep. So episode
That's
2
her
goes on, and
character.
now, yep, that's her. That's her thing. Is just she is the simp. You know what I realized? She's basically she's her Asmodeus,
Yeah. Yeah, she is.
except Asmodeus isn't gay for Aruma.
You never know.
Not yet.
Not yet. He does wear the frilly noble's garb.
I did find it funny where in the second episode everybody's like super. Oh, she gets like approached in the bathroom by one of the, I guess, mean girls at the school who tries to like hit on her, but then she
Because
starts
that's another
fighting.
trope.
Yeah, because then she starts fighting with the Ajosama over how close their relationship is, and she's just like, Riri is essentially like, why is everyone so gay in here?
Yeah.
And then she just leaves.
Yeah. This show is pretty homosexual.
It's hella gay.
It's very gay.
But it's Yuri, and we are men of culture, so we can appreciate that.
Indeed.
I'm pretty sure 2 of them straight up are, because in the ending clip you see like 2 characters that we haven't really met yet together in the ED.
Fuck it. Everyone's gay.
Pretty much.
Assault Lily Bouquet.
I mean, I guess you would
gay.
have to be, because I don't think a male character exists in this show.
Do men even exist?
Maybe not. Maybe men became the huge.
That is exactly where I was gonna take that. Are the men huge?
The men in this world are just too huge.
We need assault lilies to be gay to protect everyone from huge men.
Oh, but we still have another episode to talk about. So in the second episode, we find out they have sort of like a battle sister system where you basically get one of the upperclassmen to train one of the lowerclassmen. And of course, she wants Kudere Senpai because that's who inspired her. But of course, Kudere Senpai is still going through the my dead teammate thing.
Yeah. So she gets someone else.
Yeah, and we get introduced to a bunch of characters, but again, there's just too many people all at once.
This
to,
show
really
has
take
like
in.
1,000 people.
It has a cast, I think, from what we see. It has a majority of the cast. I think it's like 12 people, but it's still a lot for the beginning.
Like in the
I
first
think
episode,
the only other one that matters that we meet so far is the short brown-haired girl who kind of is in the friend group.
She's like she knows everybody's deal.
She's basically just a Lily nerd who's just super into all of the lilies, reading up on them. She's a Lily otaku.
Yeah. She's the Deku. She knows everyone's shit.
Yeah. And we also meet the girl that works in the workshop. Her whole thing is just fixing everyone's weapons, and that's when we get an explanation to how the magic system works, where, hey, there are runes on all this if you look at it with a microscope. Look down this gun barrel. Runes!
Yeah. It is
Runes up in this bitch.
It is not particularly astounding.
Yeah,
it's a little boilerplate, but that's fine.
I don't care. To be honest, I don't want it to be. I don't want to spend too much time learning about the system. I'm like, magic weapons. I'm fine with that.
They know that no one gives a shit about the weapons.
Yeah, I'm like, let's get back to the Battle Sister plot, and it's called like it's something in German because, of course, it's something chuny. German is always chuny.
There's a lot of like Japanese stuff that's just in German. Like they seem to have almost a preoccupation with it sometimes.
That's because German is chuny.
You're right. German was the real chuny all along.
Because you have been playing Genshin Impact. Do you have Fischl?
I do.
All of her shit is German.
I am well aware.
But of course, she is. It's just because she's a chuny.
Yeah. She JoJo poses.
Yeah, because she's a chuny.
It's great. I love it.
For anyone that doesn't know what chuny is, it's chunibyo, or 8th grade syndrome, which is basically being like a cringe lord. Like, my mystical dark powers.
Yeah. You, yeah. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. I feel kind of bad now that my D&D campaign is all like with a bunch of German shit, but it is in Germany, damn it, or in not Germany.
I mean, you've been working on that campaign for a long time,
Yeah, it's yeah, oh, yeah, I've been working on it. I've been
and
working hard.
it's a good setting. So it's a much better setting than this one.
Yeah, but again, we're here just to see cute girls fight each other, I guess, and monsters. But
Yes.
yeah, they approach Kudere Senpai in a hallway, and she's like, "Hey, do you want to be my battle sister?" I'm not gonna bother pronouncing what it is because I don't know. So she's like, "Do you want to be my battle sister?" And she says, "You'd only slow me down." And
Oh,
the Ajosama goes to slap her because she didn't like how she was making fun of Riri because she's simping for Riri now. But then she
she
gets slapped by the Kudere girl, and then she slaps her back, and apparently that's enough to like really do it because she also says to her, "Hey, that's not what it's about. It's not about holding people back or slowing them down. It's about you it's about two girls in a special relationship making each other better."
it's about two girls being totally not gay for each other.
Yeah, we see two at the beginning also that end up there's like, oh, those two have been battle sisters for a long time and they're like snuggling up to each other after training. And it's like hella
It's
gay.
it's like when historians look at dudes from the ancient era and they're like,
Like looking at
yeah,
Greeks and
these
they're like, yeah, they fought together all the time. They were best bros. They
they
battled together. They
lived,
took showers together.
they
They even
even
slept
like
in the same tent.
exactly.
Such
But they
good
weren't gay
friends.
though. They're just the best of friends.
Best of pals. If you know what, if they were around today, they'd be wearing a shirt that would say "with my BFF" and pointing at each other.
If they were around today, they still couldn't get married in certain states.
Greece probably.
Yeah. What yeah, whatever.
But
Whatever.
yeah. So she agrees to make her battle sister, but in her mind she's like, "You're gonna regret this." And then she goes back to her room. She's like, "Gonna make her regret this." And her dead teammate talks to her, and she's like, "Oh, you're pretty cruel, aren't you?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm the worst."
That wasn't a question I asked in a positive light. That
But
was
yeah, so
me.
I guess she's gonna make her regret being her battle sister.
Yeah,
But
she's
of course, is
kind of a
not.
bitch.
She's probably just gonna make her super good.
That's true, because that's how the training arc has to work. The main character has to go through like some extra training, some extra bullshit.
Motherfucker, I want to sit you down and make you watch all 5 seasons of Symphogear.
It's on my list. I have a lot of things on my list.
To be fair, if you want to think about it this way, every season's only like a half course, so you're really only watching like two 24 episode series and then one more season after that.
That's actually not bad.
Yeah, it's digestible.
I just got to do it, but
Also,
I
the
don't have a lot of
songs.
time.
The songs.
I do loves me some music.
Yeah, that's why
There's not a lot
that was
of
the gimmick of that one. That's why I'm like this one I hope it doesn't have a gimmick like that one.
no, it doesn't. Cause like it's not gonna be the charms.
I hope the gimmick is more than just they all gay.
What if the gimmick is they're all gay and that gives them superpowers? They
I'm pretty
need
sure
to
there's got to
be
have been a more series that did that before.
they need to be gay or they lose their power. That's a
Shit.
positive message, isn't it? Be gay and you'll get superpowers.
What a series.
Yeah. What a an open-minded and enlightening discussion about Assault Lily Bouquet.
Like that meme, lesbians, get behind me.
Yes.
But yeah, we'll get back to that. We'll check in with the lesbians next week.
Yep, we'll come back to our lesbians.
Now, instead of lesbians, let's move on to gay boys.
Gay boys.
Or just handsome men. Moriarty the Patriot. The show that
Actually,
probably is going to be the skipped one.
actually, yeah, because, like,
Everyone's probably going to ignore this one and be like, oh, they're talking about that show.
yeah, even though the show is cool, because guess what? Detective drama.
Yeah, although
You
it's
guys
less
like
of a detective thing,
reads?
more like how to just. It's like the reverse detective.
It's weird because he has to solve the crimes and then do the crimes on top of that crime.
Yeah, so it is a show about James Moriarty, who is, you know,
He's very
Sherlock Holmes. Yeah,
young and
young
handsome and
Moriarty. It's like a
blonde.
prequel. So it's Moriarty, but yeah. So he's Sherlock Holmes' nemesis. If you don't know who he is, so it's a show about the bad guy in Sherlock Holmes, but it seems to be like less of him being necessarily a bad guy, more like him kind of screwing over worse people.
It's it's like Leverage,
I
but
never watched
not
Leverage.
not quite. Leverage is one of my favorite shows of all time, and a lot of people really hate it, but I love it because it's so just cheesy.
Basically, if you needed a reason to root for Moriarty,
Here you
the
go.
first thing they pit him against is a child murderer.
Yeah, basically a bunch of children have been turning up dead, all
Specifically young
mutilated,
boys.
and Moriarty is on the case. He's like, I'm gonna solve it.
Yeah, so his manservant, who I think might be his brother.
I am inclined to agree because I think they might even have the same voice actor.
I don't think they have the same voice actor.
They sound very similar.
But yeah, so he goes through and he's like, oh yeah, all these young boys are getting murdered. Pretty crazy. And he's like, well, not when you really look at it. And he goes like, they all have something in common. Because they're all at places that you would, he's like, noblemen, for example, would never go to like a butcher shop or anything like that. They'd send the servant to do it. But all the boys that were murdered would have been in sight of places that noblemen would go, like the tailor, the jewelers, the clock place, because pocket watches. Any place where a nobleman would
Uh,
actually go to buy his own shit because he wants to look at it.
and a messenger boy
Yeah, who would go directly to him.
in the club.
But yeah, so then we also see another character who kind of goes around and he greets because I think he's a relative of Moriarty.
Yeah, he's a relative, and I believe he is an actual noble as well.
Yeah, he's a noble. Because I think Moriarty's like, I think he must be adopted into nobility or something. Because Moriarty is Irish,
Yeah,
and they ain't getting nobility.
no, no.
Yeah, so I think they also called the other guy Nissan, so like older brother, like the actual noble guy. But yeah, he goes and visits the father of the tailor or father of the boy that was just recently killed. He is a tailor, and the guy's obviously just looks really destroyed. He's got like no life in his eyes, and he's basically says to him, he's like, "Man, if I could find the guy who did this to my son,
I'd kill him.
I'd kill him."
I'd kill him. No hesitation.
Yeah, so Moriarty goes and he's kind of put the pieces together, and he ends up finding a street urchin who is apparently friends with one of the street urchins that was killed, because that was the big
That
issue
was
with
the
it. It's like,
outlier.
yeah, it's like, huh, well, how would just a street urchin get killed? Because nobles and vagabonds have absolutely no interaction with each other. He saw the place where apparently the kid would play the accordion, and there is a gentleman's club that has a window looking right down on it.
Yep. So Moriarty uses his connections with his noble brother to get a spot in that club to see who's sitting at that window.
And it's specifically this certain earl who apparently gets that seat anytime he can.
who I believed was a vampire for a little bit.
Yeah, because I saw the teeth, but thankfully he's just a normal kind of fucked up dude. I also liked
He's
at the beginning where the brother's like, how could a person even do such a thing? And Moriarty's like, yeah, I suppose it's pretty human to wonder how a human could do that.
yeah.
He's more like,
Moriarty is
yeah,
cynical.
he's like, people are shitty.
People are awful. Take it from me, Moriarty, the professor of crime.
Criminal mastermind. But yeah, so he goes and he actually confronts the dude. He's like, I see you got a tailored suit from this place and a ring from that place. And he's like, oh wow, you can guess that just by looking at me. And he's like, and a pocket watch from this place and your horses from this place. And then the guy starts getting nervous because he's like, huh, this guy knows a
These
lot of shit.
these are all the places that I've abducted and murdered children from.
And he's like, oh, and you choose this seat to look out this window because you can clearly see. And he points to like the kid playing the accordion. He's like, you like 'em young, don't you? And the guy's like,
And this
I must be going now. I've remembered I have business.
Yeah, he fucks off because
And
he's been
yeah,
put on notice.
and Moriarty's walking home when he realizes he's being followed, as he fully expected to be. And he goes into an alleyway where the oi bruv looking ass guy follows him in there.
Yeah, because the Earl's like, I think it's his driver,
It's his coach driver, yeah. So the coach driver follows him down into the alley then.
and he tries to abduct him, but Moriarty has vanished.
And then he's standing behind him, and Moriarty's brother shows up with a knife to the man's throat. He's like, yeah, this isn't going to be as easy as taking on children.
We're grown men. We fight back. And then they capture him, and they get the answers, and then they capture the Earl.
Yep. And so then they have the noblemen go and visit their noble brother, visit the tailor shop owner, and they bring him along to the same place, which is like a crypt in the cemetery, where he murdered the tailor's son.
And then they give him the best Christmas present of all.
It's like, hey, here's the man who
Vengeance.
here's the man who murdered your son. And they cut to a flashback where they talk to him, and they're like, hey, this is technically a crime. What you want to do? Are you sure you want to do that? And he's like, I do. And then Moriarty's like, well, as the professional crime fixer, I will make sure it happens for you.
It's a sham that our current society holds such to be a crime. Because it's vengeance.
So Moriarty sets up the perfect crime where there's never going to be anybody looking into it, any evidence, just absolutely clean.
Yep, because
So
he's
this guy gets
Moriarty.
it.
He's the
Yep.
best.
And he goes out and he's just like, I only got one cigarette, so just make it quick.
And he does. And it looks like that's what the tailor needed to set himself straight. So
Yep.
good on you.
So he's back to doing business, and his eyes look a little more lifelike.
Yay.
And no one's going to ask questions about the Jarl, so it's all good.
Yep, and Earl just went missing, but don't worry about it. It's fine.
There may have been rumors that he was messing around doing stuff, but yeah, it's fine.
We'll worry about that later, and by later we mean never. Let's move on.
I think he kind of mentions too, is because the fact that he was doing all that stuff means that like it'd be more of a problem for that to come to light for the nobility, so they're probably not going to have people look into that too much.
Yeah. It's the safest bet. He was a cretin anyway. Fuck
And
that
I'm
guy.
sure in the world of nobles, most people are like, hey, I am glad to rise up that ladder and take that man's place.
Yep.
How it be. Next up, this is going to be a long episode.
Yeah.
The Day I Became a God.
Show's all right.
So, this is the June Marea, I think that's how you say it, series.
Yeah.
The guy who made Little Busters and all the key works. I knew the fact too that there was going to be baseball at some point in this episode because this man fucking loves baseball.
I bet
Baseball is
baseball
this
will
man's
come back.
favorite thing.
I would almost guarantee that baseball is going to come back at some
Oh,
point.
you know it's going to come back because the girl he likes is into baseball.
She's super into baseball. She rarely speaks a word, but she cheers at fucking baseball, dude. She
I
loves it.
remember when I played Little Busters, it only has one mini game in the entire game,
Is
and it's
baseball?
baseball.
Of course it is.
And you know what? It's a major part of the game because baseball happens every other day in the game. It's
Good lord.
it's all about baseball because fucking baseball.
Well, in this show, it actually starts off with basketball.
Yeah, because he's doing the wrong sport.
He's doing the wrong sport. And
But yeah,
Odin
yeah,
comes down from Asgard to tell him that he's doing the wrong sport.
but yeah. So this girl shows up and she's like, "I am Odin. I am God." And him and his friend are like, "Hey, should we take this child to a police box or something?"
And she interrupts them mid-thought because she knows exactly what they're thinking. And she says, nay,
And she's like,
I
"Also,
will,
the world is going to end in 30 days." And they're
which
like,
she,
"Pshaw."
whatever, child.
And so the friend leaves. He's like, "You know what? This has killed my basketball vibe, so I'm just gonna sort of head out. See you later."
I'm not a particularly relevant character in this scene, so I'm going to leave until I'm needed later.
So he's traveling along. He goes to the library to hang out with his crush.
His
And
childhood friend.
yep. And as he's hanging out with her, um, the Odin says to him, "Oh, so you have a crush on her, right?" And he's like, "No," because she says it right in front of him. He freaks out. He's like, "No, no, 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 we're just friends, right?" And of course, the girl goes, "Yeah, we're just friends. Why would anyone think anything else? There's nothing there, just friendship." And of course, this crushes him.
To the extent that he just starts screaming about how much he loves studying
Yep.
until he's thrown out of the library.
So they get kicked out of the library, and then some cool stuff starts happening, which I actually enjoyed all the parts where it's like, oh, because at first I'm like, is she just like fucking around? But then she's like, oh, what a convenient time for a convenience store. And she goes and buys an umbrella, and he's like, oh, for UV rays? And she's like, no, rain. And she's just walking with it, and there's no rain. But then after, oh, it suddenly starts raining.
Downpouring, even.
And he's like, oh, the bus, come on, we gotta run or we won't catch it. And she's like, no, it'll just be faster to walk. And he's like, there's no way
Uh,
walking would be faster than a bus.
Bam! Traffic jam.
Yep, traffic jam, and they beat the bus.
They beat the shit out of the bus. They mug it. They steal its lunch money. They tell it never to come around this neighborhood again.
And then they go to a ramen shop, and the owner of the ramen place is watching horse races because he bets on horse races. And she's like, oh, he's like, man, he's like, I'm glad I put all my money on this one because this one's never going to get there. And she's like, what are you talking about? That one's about to come in third place.
Because having an omniscient god around you when you like horse racing is kind of prime.
And at
That's
first
a
they're like,
good
hold
ally.
on. It could have been a coincidence, and it's not the start of the race. So, like, you know, you had background information to work with. And she's like, all right, wait for the next one. Then the next one starts, and she guesses the exact order of the winners perfectly. And the
I
boss of the
think she
ROM,
guesses the exact order of all of them.
yeah, of all of them, like exact order of how it all goes. And the boss is like freaking out right now, and he's like, listen, we could become millionaires.
Yes, too bad they only got 30 days to do it. Except he runs away. Because even the main character,
He starts thinking, is there camp?
Yuta?
Uh, I forget his first name, but I know his surname is Narukami,
Yeah,
which means God of the Sun,
God of the Sun.
which she gets real depressed about because of her surname, I guess, is Sato, whereas his is Narukami, which is God of the Sun, which is like way cooler than hers. And the girl that he likes is called Izunami, which is a major god in Japanese mythology.
So he is the god of the sun, while the girl he likes is the bride of
Izanagi.
yes. It I we'll take this moment
funny
to
enough,
reiterate that it's late.
in Persona 4, Izanagi is the persona of Yu Narukami, the main character.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's a
But
coincidence.
yeah, so she ends up he's like, "Am I being punked? Am I on camera?"
Naturally, because she is omniscient and she knows exactly what he's thinking at all times. She's like, "No, dude, you're not being punked. It's fine. Also, I'm gonna live at your house for a while because I think you're kind of neat. So I'm gonna help you get laid."
Yeah. And so she's like, because she basically asks, "What's the one wish he wants?" And he basically wants to get with his high school crush. And she's like, "Okay, first off, she really likes baseball." And he's like, "I'm on the basketball team."
If this is supposedly his childhood friend that he has a crush on, how the fuck does he not know that she likes baseball
And apparently a lot, like, really likes baseball. Like, she goes to games and stuff. So
and cheers super loud? Like, dude, you don't deserve her at that point. You've lost. You've lost that battle before you've even begun.
yeah, because she basically works to get the whole entire baseball team to play just him. I don't know
Which
how they
they
agreed to that.
yeah, they don't show it. And basically the baseball players are like, you get one out and then we're going home.
Also, the girl doesn't seem that interested. And here's the thing, I don't think that girl likes baseball. I think June Maeda likes baseball.
Yeah. The author didn't write a character who liked baseball, but he still wanted a lot of baseball scenes.
But yeah, so she tells him basically for the baseball match to not swing at the first one because it's going to be a ball, and then not swing at the second one, not swing at the third, not swing at the fourth, but the fifth one's going to be perfect. But he gets 3 strikes because he didn't swing at 3 of them.
Yeah, because the whole goal is to uh, get some real badass home run, and he doesn't because he
Yeah.
doesn't swing.
But then he decides, she's like, "Well, it's the perfect time to confess, so go do that." And then he does, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not interested," and then leaves.
She just disappears. She crushes our poor boy's dreams and
This girl
dips.
has this girl has no reactions,
She has no feelings.
and he's super bummed. She's like, "Oh, well, guess we better go back to your house." And she's like, "Yeah, call your parents, they'll be cool with it."
Yeah, whatever.
He's like, "Hey, mom, some girl who looks like she's in elementary school wearing weird nun cosplay said that she wants to live with us. I should say no, right?"
And his mom is like, "Oh, of course. Holy shit."
Yeah, tell her. Yeah, tell her she's completely welcome. And he's just like, okay.
I bet she pulled some dreamland shit where she appeared to his parents in a dream or something like that.
Yeah.
Unless for whatever reason his parents are the only practicing North Pantheon followers in Japan and the world.
Well, apparently all the pantheons are relevant because they mention Hades to her, and she like talks about Hades as if he's a thing, even though that's different mythology.
Exactly.
But yeah, so that's the first episode. And apparently this is gonna get probably sad at some point because this is a June Maeda series.
And the world, they still haven't like fully handled the world is going to end in 30 days thing, even though she keeps mentioning it.
Yeah, and the ending of the episode has like a calendar thing with 30 on it.
Yep.
So we're probably going to be counting down to that. Also, apparently it's going to end because humans being dumb, doing something stupid, but it's not nuclear though.
Yeah, which makes me real curious as to what it could be.
Imagine if we unleashed a deadly pandemic.
If only, but unfortunately that's just too out there.
Yeah, it's too outlandish, too far-fetched.
Humanity would never fall victim to a plague.
Guys, we got one more to go. Thank you for sticking through.
Yes. Thank you. Arigato.
Arigato gozaimasu.
Jesus, we're rolling up on an hour and a half. All right, let's burn through Fire Force as quick as we can.
Fire Force. So Dr. Licht reveals that he is actually a Haijima spy, and everyone in the Eight's like, yeah, we knew that.
Yeah. And
But yeah, so they know that they want Shinra there, and Obi's like, well, of course we're not just gonna send you and Shinra, so we're gonna be on standby.
and shit's going down, so
Yep,
they got to
so
call in reinforcements.
so they go there, and well, that's the second part because we remember we're doubling up because we didn't talk about it last week.
Oh, I
Yeah.
forgot about that.
So we find out that kid that Richter or Lecter, no, what was his name? I keep forgetting. The
Rika.
crazy priest guy
Rika.
brought in. Yeah, he is. It wasn't Rika.
It's Rika.
It is not Rika. I don't know. You summarize the episode. I'm gonna look it up.
I'm gonna look it up right now, you motherfucker.
Rekka Hoshima.
With the starry eyes.
Yeah. Okay, so Lieutenant Rekka Hoshima, the kid he basically trained he turned into a fire user.
Yeah, I would not say trained.
Yeah, the kid he turned into a fire user. So the kid gets PTSD flashbacks of this man.
And he also just sees him and hears him because
he's like, "You're number one. You can do it.
You can
turn up the heat.
All that
Let's
bullshit.
see some fucking motivation."
Exactly, all that bullshit, and it makes the kid go fucking thermonuclear.
And turns out, this kid is definitely the sixth pillar.
Oh yeah.
And so Shinra goes in, and they want to get a test battle against him versus this guy. I forget his name, but he's the Grim Reaper.
The Ashen Reaper.
Yeah, and he is insane. This man has an obsession with like he was sent to this place to treat his injuries on his arm, but he chose to stay because he just really likes torturing the weak.
Yeah, because he has he's got that weird thing where if you use your powers too much, it like cinders your body.
Yeah, but his
arm is all fucked up.
His power is really cool, and apparently he is considered to be on par in terms of strength with Benimaru.
Which is scary
because Shinra actually can't. Yeah, Shinra can't even hit him.
But they decide to set up a test fight.
Yep, because Shinra starts trying to fight him, and he reveals his ability because it doesn't change anything. He fills the place with black smoke, and the smoke allows him to sense everything, so he can sense every single attack. And he also can make blades out of it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, his power is sweet.
And he's creepy as hell.
The way they
do his
exactly. They turn into like half moons at points, and
they turn to crescent moons. Like and they just kind of go on almost to the side of his face, like near his nose, and he just has this weird big look, like I think it's supposed to be like a big grin on his face anytime he hears about like weak people.
This dude's bullying boner is spooky to say the least.
Yeah, but when this happens, the kid starts freaking out because he starts getting an Adela link, and the red alarm goes off in the entire place, and then Dr. Licht calls Dr. Obi for reinforcements, and he screams like, "Vulcan, we gotta get in there! Licht and Shinra are in trouble!" And he's like, "I didn't even say anything yet. I just said there might be a problem."
And then they drive their Matchbox tank through the gate, and the boys are back in town.
Licht remembers what Shinra said to him when they were coming in, where he's like, "I don't care if you're a spy, I'll definitely save you still."
And Licht is like, you know what? I kind of like these 8th dudes.
So he punches out one of the doctors and then gets on the microphone and opens the door and is like, "Shinra, go save the kid." Yeah, so then it starts becoming a big clusterfuck where the 8th gets held up by the caretaker of the children, who's this weird puppet lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I have no comment.
she's
She's
just
just
weird. She
weird.
talks about like she has a argument with Vulcan about how mechs should be named.
She doesn't. They make a point where she doesn't treat her puppets like people. She treats people like puppets.
Yeah, like children and puppets, like same thing to her.
They're just all tools, means to an end.
Yep, because everybody here is screwed to the hilt.
Everyone's everybody is a few dozen cards short of a deck,
And
and fucking some
yeah,
of them have checkers pieces.
so Shinra and the gang are fighting. Well, Vulcan and Maki stay to fight this girl, whereas Shinra and everyone else are facing off against uh, the Ashen Reaper. But then, of course, because this wasn't a big enough clusterfuck, the Evangelists show up.
Yes, because why not?
And then best antagonist of summer 2020 shows up, Karen, and he starts jumping down and fighting the Ashen Reaper, and Ashen Reaper starts to realize, shit, this guy's strong. I love how he says to everyone else too when he gets there. He's like, could the strong members of you leave the weak ones behind?
Yeah, just strong dudes go about your business. Weak dudes come stay and just let me kick the shit out of you.
Yeah, but then
But
Karen shows up, and that's actually the worst counter for him because this dude's gonna kick the shit out of him because it doesn't even matter if he hits Karen.
yeah, he's even slices Karen a couple times and it just doesn't.
Yeah, and then the puppet lady gets all of her little mechs destroyed by Hanamura, I think her name is the
Yeah,
yeah
electric lady.
yeah the second pillar, and she ends up the puppet lady basically her final move is a mech.
Hey guys, my final form is Mecha.
Yeah, and so next week we get a big clusterfuck fight of everybody.
Yep, and I'm looking forward to it because I like that shit. That shit is cool.
Yeah. Also, the other people that are there from the Evangelists are Inca, apparently a new like maid chick that is Inca's guardian, and Arrow.
Yep,
Because I
I
guess
like.
Arrow is specifically Show's guardian.
Yeah, but shows fine.
Yeah, he's not there, and Karen is obviously Hanamura's guardian.
Yes. Yep,
Yeah, so big fights.
I'm looking forward to it. I think the fights are one of the strong points of the show, which is real good because that's what the show revolves around.
Mm. And I don't know, Fire Force has just been knocking it out of the park.
Yeah, because even though all of
I
these
just love
characters,
how weird this villain is. Like I've never seen before someone that's like super strong, but is like, hey, I really don't want to fight any of these strong guys. Can you guys just leave and let me beat on the weak people?
yes, he is a super strong dude who only wants to kick the shit out of people he knows are super weak. And
In the
he's
preview for
fun.
next week too, it shows him on his phone and he's like, time to get a new job.
This sucks. Everyone's too strong here.
Dude, this guy would hate to run into Joker and Benny Morrow and Burns, the old guy
Yeah.
squad.
Yeah. That'd be cool though. That'd be a cool fight. But that's our rotation. These are the clay with which we will bring you content. We will
Yep, this is
craft
what we're
it.
going to talk about all season. So if you are watching any of these shows, please watch them along with us.
Yeah. And let us know what you think about them and let us know how fucking wrong we are.
Yeah, so hey, think about subscribing maybe if you're on YouTube. Leave us a comment. Comments are good for analytics.
Yeah. And also like the video as well. Even if you didn't particularly care for it, what have you got to lose?
Yeah, we have everything to gain from that.
Exactly. If you're on Spotify or Deezer or iHeartRadio or iTunes or Google Play, feel free to subscribe on those sources of media as well. Most of them have at least some method of subscribing or following or liking etc.
And we are also on social media, Twitter and Facebook at Protagonist Seat, respectively. And you can find out when we post updates there, like when we release new videos.
Yes, and also keep an eye on our YouTube channel. That's where we post bonus content as well as every week's
Yeah, because
weekly episode.
it is the spooky season, so we got something special planned for spooky season.
Yes. So keep an eye out. It's a lot of fun, and
I'm
it'll
not
be a
gonna
lot of fun.
I'm not gonna spoil what it is, but it sounds like Turn the Lich.
I think you just spoiled it.
No,
I think
I don't
that's
know how you could put
explicitly.
I don't know how
I
you
think
could put that together.
that's right. We're covering season 2 of No Guns Life.
No, but we're gonna watch Burn the Witch because that is the spooky show this season. Well, it's about witches. It's not really spooky, but
Yeah, but it's cool.
yeah, we'll probably cover that earlier than waiting till the end of the month, just because it loses relevancy with every passing day.
Plus, it doesn't really matter when we post it because we can post things whenever we want.
But we will try to get it done in the month of October.
Yes. Feel free to stick with us.
Stick 'em up.
Feel free to stick them up and give us your lunch money, nerds. Feel free to stick with us and keep up with all the shows we're watching and listen to all the weird bullshit we spout. It's a lot of fun.
And thank you for sticking around for the entire hour and a half we did this, if you did.
Yeah, we're at 1 hour and 41 minutes right now.
We should wrap this up.
Yes, episodes are not usually this long. Thank you for sticking with us if you have.
We had like 3 shows with 2 episodes each. So we had like extra shit to talk about.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.